Stewart and his participants as they present a summary of this week's Watchtower study.
Have you ever skipped a meal? Probably not a good thing. You might agree that this week's Watchtower is an article, a study of spiritual food you wouldn't want to skip. So please take your magazine out, the September 15th, 2015 article. And if you didn't bring yours, please share that with others because it is action-packed. It's just what we need, spiritual food at the proper time. If you're using the Simplified Watchtower, it's on page number 15. So we have page 13 on the Standard and page 15 on the Simplified. And it's based on the theme, Stand Firm in the Faith. And the scripture is based on 1 Corinthians chapter 16, verse 13. Now, uniquely, it's going to be tied in with another Bible account in Matthew. And you'll notice right off the bat, we get right into the picture. We're going to find out what we learn about Peter, good and bad. How, looking at the example of Peter walking on the water and then failing to walk on the water will actually build our faith. What will we learn? You probably noticed we have participants, commenters. Will your comments be exactly the same? Probably not. So that means we're going to be enriched by listening careful to their comments. But there are three things we want to take away from this article. Note, how would you answer? Why is faith a precious possession? How can we tell if our faith has begun to weaken? And then finally, why can we strengthen our faith by looking intently at Jesus? So let's get right into the article and the first image there. Sister Cardona, what experience did Peter have during a windstorm on the Sea of Galilee?
Well, one night, while Peter and some of the other apostles were out to sea, they got caught in a windstorm. And you could tell by the picture that it wasn't a mild windstorm. The waves are crashing on the boat, moving it side to side, and you can see the fear in their faces. But suddenly, they see something miraculous. It's Jesus walking on the sea. When Peter calls out to Jesus, and Jesus tells him to come, Peter bravely and courageously steps off onto the choppy sea. But something happens to Peter, and he starts to sink.
Yes, thank you for that. Now, you'll notice in our study article, the B. Sister Weldon, why did Peter start to sink?
Well, at Matthew 14, verse 31, Jesus said to Peter, "You with little faith, why did you give way to doubt?" So instead of trusting in the faith that Peter had in Jesus, he succumbed to human imperfection, became afraid of the storm, and started to sink.
Yes, thank you, Sydney. That's really the key. And we're going to demonstrate how that is going to work personally for us. So, Sister Sophia Weldon, the question number 2, what will we now consider?
As 1 Corinthians 16:13 says, we want to stand firm in the faith. We can see how to do this by considering how Peter first showed faith in God's support, why he began to lose faith, and what helped him to regain his faith. Very
good. So that's our theme, 1 Corinthians 16:13. Now, if you'll take a look, we've already arrived at a subheading. Faith in God's support. We have a scripture. Brother John Santa Croce, could you read for us 1 Peter chapter 2 and verse number 21, please?
In fact, to this course you were called, because even Christ suffered for you, leaving a model, for you to follow his steps closely.
Excellent. Now, we've read that scripture before. Calls Christ a model, but follow his steps closely. So the question here in 3, why did Peter climb out of the boat, and how have we done something similar?
Well, Peter left the safety of the boat because Jesus called him. He was able to have faith seeing Jesus' example. In a similar way, we've all been called by Jehovah. Following Jesus' model, we recognize that our dedication and baptism are just the beginning. Rather than focusing our primary concern on a solid career or a comfortable life, we try to follow Jesus' example by focusing on kingdom interests, keeping kingdom interests first, and exercising faith like Peter that Jehovah and Jesus will sustain us.
Fine comment. We saw here today some of those who made their dedications public. A miracle. How can I say it's a miracle? Well, if you look at paragraph number 4, there's a read scripture there at Colossians 3, verse 5 to 10, that points out the changes that were made necessary. Brother Barrios, could you read that for us? Colossians chapter 3, verse 5 to 10.
Deaden, therefore, your body members that are on the earth